Hi everyone, welcome to the Ragtime Design Studio. This is Rachel Ann Johnson. I'm trying something new. I haven't done very many videos on cards, so bear with me. I'll give it my best shot tonight. I am bringing to you a card at a very hard time. I'm used to meeting with my students in the studio and having a class. This week they had to come pick up a kit and stamp their couple of things at my front porch. It was still great to see them. We kept our social distance, but gosh, I miss classes. So I hope everyone out there is doing fine tonight, feeling safe, and let's talk about something more exciting. A great card for Mother's Day. So this is my window easel card, made with Stampin' Up's new early release suite, which is called Ornate Garden. It has 2 die sets, 2 stamp sets, some paper, and a bunch of other stuff. We'll talk about that as we go along today. So I want to show you how the card works. So it pops up and is an easel. Show you from the side. There we go. And when it folds flat, you have no idea that it does all these cool things. So it first opens up and pops as an easel card. Okay. There we go. Trying to make sure you guys can see it in the camera. It's held in place by a little rhinestone right here when everything is flat. Okay, I think that's a better view. And then the card opens up all the way. How's that for cool? Alright, so let's talk about how we get the little easel to do this. And a little behind the scene. There you go. You can make the back side a little prettier by perhaps putting a second frame on this side. But as we go along, you can see where you could make that something you might want to do on yours. Alright, here we go. So, if you're part of my customers, you got a pink piece of paper in your kit. And I started with a full sheet of 8.5 by 11 cardstock. And I'm going to cut it in half lengthwise to make a tent card. So I'm going to cut it at 4 1/4. Turn it around, and we need a full-size card, so let's see. I just want to score it now in half, or fold it in half. I'll go ahead and show you how to score it in half. Hang on, I got my paper cutter all turned upside down. Alright, there we go. Stick it in and score it at 5 1/2. And I want to score, not cut. Score it. And then, what is 5 1/2 in half? That would be 2 3/4. So I'm going to score the front of this card at 2 3/4. So now the card folds in half and then folds in half again, and that right there is the action that makes it an easel card. But to cut the frame out, because our frame needs to be cut out of both layers, both on the frame itself here and then on our easel, on the frame here and then again on our easel part. Sorry, when I look in the camera viewfinder, what's up is down and what's down is up, so I'm all confused tonight. So anyways, mostly I'm just trying to explain to you that we have to cut a frame twice. Picture worth 1,000 words, so let's do that. So here's our card, fold it in half, open it back up, fold this in half. Now I'm going to take this folded edge, see, folded edge, and I'm going to put it in here, And this time I'm going to cut. I need a 1-inch frame. So I'm going to put it at the 1 inch. And I'm going to stop short 1 inch before my fold. Well, that was a score line. That's not going to help. I'm going to stop 1 inch before the end of this area. See, I stopped short. Flip it over. Put it at 1 inch. Cut it again. And this is my fold line right here. So that line I'm going to set at 1 inch on my cutter. And I can see 1 inch is right here. And I'm going to start and stop at my 2 previous cut lines. So, what happens is that I make this little cutout. And sometimes you might have to trim it. Didn't quite get in the corner. There we go. So now this little chunk came out, and there's the frame that we need on our easel mechanism. So there we go. See how that works? Okay. Then with your leftover pink, I already gave you guys a card front with yours, so let me cut mine. So the second piece in your kit is a standard card front, 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. Now we need to get a frame cut out of this. You could do the same procedure on your personal paper cutter and just give yourself a 1 inch border all the way around. Or I did luck out and learn that this die right here cuts that window out. So let's move to the green and I'll show you. So you guys can practice this on your pink, and then when you go to assemble your card, you'll be happy to know I already did that part for you. And then this is the frame cut out with our stitched rectangle framelit from our rectangle stitched framelit die set. Alright, so that, cut that out. And then I ran it through the matching embossing folder. Let's see, it's called Ornate Floral 3D Embossing Folder. And it does have a couple of different levels of depthness on the folder. The flowers are much deeper than the leaves are. So I ran that through that folder. Gave us a little texture on there. Alright, so then in a minute this will get glued onto just the lower portion of our easel. But first we want to build up our frame. So the first thing, hang on a minute, forgot to bring something to the table. Just a second. Goodness me. So, to get the flowers that we colored on the front of our card, you will want to stamp and emboss the image. I used the gold Stampin' emboss powder. It's a detail powder. I like to ink up my image that I'm going to stamp and emboss with a matching ink to my embossing powder. So in this case, any gold metallic pad will do. If you don't have one, you can use Versamark. So you would ink up your stamp, stamp your paper, dust on your powder, shake off the extra, and then heat set it. And you'll know it's heat set when it becomes shiny. The minute it becomes shiny, you want to stop heating, or you can overheat it. So now that that's already done, And when you get to that point yourself, you can color this. So I used the piece of paper from our Ornate Garden as my color palette. And then they also state a color palette on the label or in the catalog of the colors that coordinate with it. And this is the Ornate Garden paper suite. Let me take a minute and just show you what it looks like. A lot of people have paired this daisy with the pig that's holding a daisy. I think that's really sweet. Got a pink on the back. This one is all gold foil, and then you can color the flowers yourself. And there's some more beautiful daisies. These are the same pink flowers as this one, but these are colored and no gold foil. And then these are just two beautiful gold foiled ones. On the back of this olive green is this little dainty flower. Oops, back to that one again. Trying to get to the one you want to see. There we go. And there's that one. On the back is just a green. So obviously this side's going to get more used. All right. So I used colors out of this palette to color this guy. So I did some shades of green. I did use our blendables. I imagine you guys would like to see me color a little bit. So let me give that a shot. I do believe I used Calypso Coral. I believe I used Calypso Coral. They're suggesting the terracotta. Yeah, I think that's what I did. But we don't have a terracotta in our blendables, so Calypso Coral is going to work good. Yep, that's what I did. So to color it, I like to start with the darker color and work on the edges of my petals. Everyone's got a different way they like to color, and I change it up plenty. But I'm going to get the edges of the petals with my darker color. And if there were any highlights like that, you can trace the highlight. I'm just going to do a few flowers for you guys. Okay, and then I am going to do the tops of these petals in the interior of the flower. And then alcohol markers do blend best when the ink on the paper is still moist. So now I'm going to take my brush tip and just kind of blend those colors together. And then it never hurts to go back one more time. And I sort of like to do a little trick where I just kind of stipple a few blending dots so there's not a harsh line between the two colors. And the air conditioning kicked on. There we go. And once that dries, they blend together even better. And then I use some old olive, light and dark. And I also used a little mint macaroon. Seafoam. Macaroon. Where did I put the macaroon? Oh, that's Pool Party. Hang on. There's macaroon. So I did a little macaroon to get a little bit of warmer green here and there. few leaves. And then you want to take the darker, and I just sort of followed the veins. Oops, I want to use the other tip. I like the bullet for outlining. And then I want to go around the top of that flower, because that's all going to be a darker color hiding underneath that layer of that leaf. And then some green here. And again, it's going to be darker closer to a flower. And you know what? That's all green right there too. There we go. And green around that flower, leaf, and a little definition between those two leaves. Then you want to come in with the lighter Old Olive and just color away and blend all those colors you were playing with. And when they dry, you will have flowers like these. The white flowers are already white. I just put a little yellow in the center. I did a darker daffodil daisy and a lighter daffodil and just did a little suede in the middle. So that's about all you need to color on the flower. It's a lot larger than what we need for this little window. So then you would just fussy cut around the parts that you need. We don't need a whole lot of this. Alright, so let me fussy cut here real quick for you guys. Sorry, there's no die for this one, but I have learned if I hold my scissors in place and move my paper and let that do all the work for me, it's a little easier for me to fussy cut. Whoops. Let's not cut into our flower. It's always a little harder to do everything when you're holding it out away from yourself so the camera can see it. Alright. And one more leaf. Alright. And that's about all you need to fussy cut. There we go. Because you're not going to show the whole bouquet. You're only going to show, I did about that. I'm trying to remember what I did. There we go. I know I did the big one, did part of that one, most of those three leaves, and yeah, they did go all the way to the frame. So that's your first step. Work on your flowers, and they're going to get glued onto the green frame, and obviously the parts you don't need cut off. And then you'll glue your window sheet that I provided to the back of that, so it's a window. And then you have a gold frame. This set coordinates with a beautiful die set. So I've left the paper, I just used our gold foil paper, and I've left it in the die for a minute because we need a frame that's see-through, and as you can see, this is solid, and I tried to cut one out using the die, but it's too close and it has the stitch lines, and it ran into the polka dots going around. So that was not a good fit. So a couple of ways you can do this. One, have a rectangle square that fits right in here, which we don't currently carry. I ran my embossing tool around so I'd know where to cut, or, knowing me, I would just sit here and run it right along the die. And use this as a guide to cut this into an actual frame. So there we go. Now, I'm going to pop it out. Let's see where it didn't cut through all the way. There we go. Now we need to get it out of the frame. I did already run the brush around, so most of it's loose. So now if you just run a pokey tool or a stylus, you can usually get it up rather damage-free. There we go. Check out my frame. Fairly easy way to cut it out. Alright. And then you'll glue this frame on there. Alright. And then, let me trim this so we can trim some of this off. And let's get it glued in place. Tape, tape. Here we go. Little tape. Sorry if my head gets in here. Alright, so I'm going to go back and finish coloring this after the video. But so this video isn't too terribly long. I'm not going to color the whole thing in front of you guys here. Alright, so now we want to put on our window sheet. There we go. So I'm going to put a little more tape over this. And put my window on. See, and right now at this point, if you wanted to put another green frame over that to hide this, but they're really not going to see that side of the card. It's got plenty of other flips and things going on. And then we're going to put this little frame right there. Look how perfect that fits. So for the frame, I would prefer to use a few dots of liquid glue. A few dots. All right. So I do find it much easier. I've just been using disposable makeup brushes. Not makeup brushes, they're the foam wedges, makeup sponges. All right. Sorry, it's been a long day. My brain's a little bit mush tonight. But there we go. And this is our silicone mat. Once the glue dries on it, you can just peel it right off. Alrighty. That should do it. Now that we're all a sticky mess. Alright. And I'm all about flipping it over and applying pressure from the back. That way I don't get sticky, my project doesn't get dirty. Hopefully I don't get more sticky. There we go. And now the frame's on. Check that out. Now on mine I had sponged around the edge, and now that I stuck it down I realized I was going to show you how to sponge the edge. I can still kind of get in there, yes, and still get it a little bit. So it just gives you a little bit of definition on the edge of your frame. You can sponge it with darker gold or chocolate, or not at all. But there we go. And then the next step is to put tape I'm going to bring back in my easel. I'm only going to put tape on the bottom portion of my easel. I'm going to set my card down and match all 4 corners as if I was lining up a card front. But I'm only sticking it to the bottom portion. Alright, so open that up. And now we have our vanilla card. Some of you today, when you came by and got your kit, stamped in the 4 corners this little stamp. So I'll go ahead and do that real quick. And you can add any greeting you want in here. This cream-colored piece that I'm using, it'll be easier to show you what size it is in just a second when I close the card. But it's a 1/4, when it's closed it looks like a 1/4 inch smaller mat, but it's actually a card that opens. Okay, so when closed it feels like a 1/4 inch mat. When open it is 10.5 by 4 inches. Scored at 5 1/4. Okay, again, opened, it is 10.5 by 4 inches wide, scored at 5 1/4, and that is in half. When I close it, it feels like a mat for this layer. It's just a sneaky way to stick in another section of your card that can open. I certainly didn't have to, but why not? The card really didn't have anywhere to write a greeting, and I don't always love just putting it on the back, because then where am I going to stamp hand stamped by? So that goes on there, and then my layer of flowers is a mat on top of that. So this one measures 5 by 3 3/4. This layer is 5 by 3 3/4. So I will, hang on a sec. Alright, so we'll just glue this onto here. And there we go. And then you can put whatever greeting you want across there. I did it with the framelit that's in the set. So now I'll just jump to our finished card. And within the set that comes with this collection, here it is, this frame set. Let me take it out now and show you. You get all these parts in the Ornate layer die, and hiding over here is a stitched square or a rectangle, and that is what I cut out that little layer with and stamped So Grateful. So I am so grateful that you came to watch our video. I think there's only one more little tiny thing to show you. I almost concluded, but I forgot to show you a trick with the butterflies. So we have 2 butterflies on here, and I really wanted to share this trick with you. So I punched out one and then lined up where the bodies go so that I can stamp the butterfly and then the 2 bodies and then punch them. And I didn't want to have to figure out how to color the butterfly.